We're all dealing with feeling. We're all coping with feeling. Looking inside your heart is the place that you should start. Then you can heal. Then you can be real. So open up your heart. It's time to start. Dealing with feeling. Coping with feeling. Open up your heart. It's time to start.
Welcome to Dealing with Feelings and Feelings Friday with Karen Porter, author, and Dr. James Porter, mental health counselor, and also my husband. We get together every Friday to talk about one feeling and a scenario where this feeling is in conflict and people talk it out. Actually, they're not people talking it out, they're little monsters. In the series, I Feel When for children. So there's a children's book series that Dr. Porter is helping me write and giving his professional opinion about so that we can really examine what we're doing when we talk about our feelings in a way that is nonviolent and helps us create a win-win situation for everybody. So are you ready for today's emotion?
I'm ready.
Today's emotion is jealous. That's a hard one.
I wish I would have thought of that idea. Man, I'm so wishing I would have thought of that idea.
So let me show you the, oh darn, I have to pull it up now. In my little folder. And I even did it in a way that is on widescreen display.
Oh.
So I think it will look much better this time.
Ooh, I see everything. Yeah.
Can you see? Okay.
I see things. It could be the widescreen. And then now I see the monster.
And do you see what he says?
I have the monitor in my way here.
Okay.
I feel jealous when you have what I want. Ooh, okay.
Okay.
All right. Hey, where does a person feel jealousy in their body? Where do you feel jealousy in your body? When you feel
Where?
Yeah.
I feel it in my gut. How about you?
Okay. I think I feel it in my chest.
Wow.
So that's a good thing for kids and parents to do is try to find out where they feel the feeling of jealousy or any other emotion in your book series. Only the emotions in your book series are relevant. I just want to tell people that. No, I'm kidding.
No, there's hundreds of emotions.
I'm kidding.
I'm only going to get through 24, hopefully, in this series. So here's what happens. They're in the pool, obviously, and they're all swimming. And there we see Deb, and she is noticing. She's being very observant, and she says, "Look, Ben has a duck," Deb said. "Look, Cal has 2 ducks," Deb said. Deb said, "I want a duck." Deb said, "Look, Ada has 3 ducks." Deb said, "I want a duck." And then Deb is swimming along, and lo and behold, she sees Ed, and she sees him with 4 little rubber duckies. And she says, "Look, Ed has 4 ducks," Deb said. Deb said, "I want a duck." And Ben looks at her and says, Ben is the yellow monster, and he looks at her and he says, "You cannot have my duck," Ben said. And then the red monster, Cal, he says, "You cannot have my ducks," Cal said.
What are they going to do?
And you cannot have my ducks, Ada said. You cannot have my ducks, Ed said. And Deb says, I feel jealous when I want what you have. And that's where I'm leaving it today, because I wanted to leave the audience with a
Oh.
cliffhanger.
Yeah, keep them in suspenders.
And what can we do? I thought you could, I'm sure in this American society of ours, where everybody is trying to get what the Joneses have and make their life better, you probably notice it causes people in your practice a lot of stress. I don't know, do you?
In my practice?
Yeah. People going after that materialistic, I want to have the nice house, or I want to have.
Maybe in my practice. I mean, I know jealousy is a real thing, the feeling of wishing you had what someone else has. I know a lot of people who have very good reason to want what other people have, because those are needs, some of them are. And I think as a person, I can understand what it feels like to feel jealous. And, and of course they have the cliche, I don't know if it's a real phenomenon, but the sort of Facebook effect where, everybody's making their life look so good and all that stuff. And I don't want to say jealousy is all bad. I don't have a real logical way of making it look good, except that maybe it's just natural to have some jealousy and all that stuff. I think also that a lot of we haven't, I mean, there's things like, the new words, like new phrases like fear of missing out and those kind of things. Life is a series of experiences, to cultivate experiences and all that stuff. So I think there is a lot of social comparison going on, and we could have something somebody else wants and they could have something that we want. And we could both be right or both be wrong, because, they have something pretty cool, but we also have something pretty cool. In fact, if I can talk personally, there are many people who have careers in other industries than the one in which I work. And jealous as heck when I see them doing their work, because they're doing such a good job that I don't realize that behind the scenes, they're working themselves very hard to make their work look so good and make their work look so easy. So jealousy, I think, is so present that maybe that's why I can't think of an example. Because it's
I can think of the reason why I put this in the swimming pool was because I can remember we used to go to Northside Park all the time, the swimming center, the YMCA, and we used to swim there. And I would bring Christy and, you and me, and we'd all go swimming. And I would always forget to bring toys. Oh, and Christy would see all these other kids with their nice little goggles, or, she'd want them. And I can't claim that I did the right thing, because I would go into the lost and found sometimes and get what, oh, well, somebody left this little noodle here. Maybe we could just, use that. And I would ask the lifeguard, and they would usually say, yeah, go ahead. But I think, what I read somebody on Quora who said, what, we live in a society right now where everybody thinks that they want to have what they want to have, and they want it now. And the greatest gift you can teach a child is that, you have what you have right now, and let's cope with it. And I'm thinking, well, maybe Deb could, I'm trying to rewrite history here, but maybe Deb could find a game to play, go on the slide. Maybe Deb could splash and jump in the pool. Maybe Deb could do somersaults in the pool instead of playing with ducks. Because you can't always get what you want.
Right. And often you don't get some kind of equalizing resolution at the end either. So maybe, a lot of times we talk about compromise in these situations, and that is important. And I'm not sure if it's this book you want to do it with, but sometimes people need to have that feeling of jealousy, not get what they want, and somehow cope without having an alternative resolution. Not like some of them, I talk about negotiating and trying to meet each other's needs, but sometimes that may not happen all the time. So I don't know how you could go in either of two directions.
I know. I mean, this is so hard because I do want to pick one direction. I was thinking that maybe she could start playing a game and then the other kids could join her and they could leave their ducks on the side of the pool.
Yeah. One way or
they could play another game.
In one way or another, she could discover what she already has, maybe. Again, I'm a big social justice person. And a lot of times when people feel jealousy, it's because they should feel jealousy, and other people are having an unequal amount of opportunities and results and stuff like that. So jealousy is a valid thing. Sometimes you need to realize that you're getting a short end of the stick. And also, sometimes jealousy is just a sign that you want more, and that's a good thing, but that there is no good way to get that next thing. And aside from that, am I able to live, and am I able to be somewhat happy?
Yeah, I mean, is it really important that Deb gets a duck? Now, I know parents that would feel so bad that their kid didn't have a duck. They would put that kid in the car and drive to Walmart and come back with a duck.
Yeah.
Just to make them happy. And I don't think that's the answer. I think really we should be teaching our kids to cope with that feeling. Say, that conflict resolution is not always external. Sometimes it's internal. And we have to say, okay, I'm going to soothe myself by jumping instead of.
Okay, so that's an interesting idea. Let's say in this situation, the kid actually does the communication thing. So we don't skip that part, even if there's not going to be a negotiated resolution. The kid's going to have his best alternative to negotiated resolution, which is a surprise ending. And he tells them, you have 4 ducks, I want a duck. You have 3 ducks, I want a duck. You have 2 ducks, I want a duck. You have 1 duck, so I don't want your duck, whatever. But all the kids have a good reason why they just can't give them the duck, and they don't know how to think of a better solution. So the kid is just very satisfied maybe with the fact that the kids spoke nicely to him about it, gave him good reasons, and said, I'm not allowed to just give away my toys that my mommy bought her. You know what I mean? And so.
Yeah, I mean, they should, validate them and say, I can see.
Yes.
You feel bad. And I even have, one of the things I had them write was, well, Ed, you have 4 ducks. Maybe you could just give Deb 1 of your ducks. And I'm going to have I'm going to have Ed say no. I'm not. We don't have to negotiate. Not everything is up for negotiation.
Yes. That's pretty sophisticated. I say that word in like all of our videos, but that's probably something kids are going to have to be introduced to sooner or later. Now, who says go ahead and give them a duck?
I think Ada says, Deb really wants a duck. Okay. I have, Ada says, look, I have 2 ducks. No, I have 3 ducks, but you have 4.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you give her 1 of your ducks? And he could say, no, I don't want to.
So this is a funny thing. This is a funny thing for me, because in the social justice world, this could symbolize material resources for kids. You know what I mean? Like this could be an Aesop's fable about material resources.
Yeah, so but then the other flip side of the coin is these are plastic ducks. It's not food.
That's true.
It's not shelter. It's a toy. It's one of, we have such a consumer society where we try to it's all about things.
Well, okay, I get that point.
That's, I
But-
mean, that's the theme of this,
but-
and I want to write about that in the parental discussion after.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I would make it very clear that this is not about, because another thing that that I think luxuries are a social justice issue, and that sort of thing. But I would probably try to do some kind of write-up at the end or the beginning of the story that,
Or maybe I could say have it 2 endings, like you were talking about before. I don't know how I would do that structurally.
and yet it's still important to have people learn how to. Right. So best alternative to negotiated agreements. Nobody gives you what you want. So you have to determine a new alternative. And if we're clever enough, that could be just the kid learning to cope, or the kid learning to bide his time, or the kid learning, or her time. I don't remember if it's a male or female, so her time.
Yeah.
Or like the kid could be like, okay, I'm going to figure out how to get my own ducks somehow or another. And then maybe the kids, you see the kid like have a thought balloon of a plan. So the best alternative to negotiated agreement is I'm not giving up on getting a duck, and I'm going to figure out how. And it's kind of open-ended. Again, that's pretty, is that overly sophisticated?
No, I mean, we could just say, this would be really cute. It was like, we could have her say, I will play a new game, but I will get a new duck one day.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we could have a thought bubble of her working at a duck shop.
Yeah.
She could
Or
control
something like,
all the ducks in the world.
I'll never go duckless again. That's what was her name? Violet Beauregard? Scarlett O'Hara. Yeah.
Yes. See?
All right. So that's what's going on here. Tenacious.
So
Oh, yeah.
this was a very good conversation. Now, I want to ask you about the feeling of jealousy. Is there any kind of things we need to know about jealousy? I could look it up on the emotion code and see what parts of the body are affected according to ancient acupuncture.
True. And I would say it's probably managed by it comes from a different part of the body for any person in different situations.
Yeah, definitely. I should have looked this up ahead of time.
I'd like to plug the book for any sophisticated readers out there called, the book is called How Emotions Are Made. I forgot the author's name.
Glands. It says glands.
No,
I'm just
your
saying,
thing. Oh, yeah. That's kind of broad, I think, but
yeah,
glands, I mean, emotions.
or
are-
sexual organs. But
Oh, okay. Sure. Okay. I can see that.
yeah, that's according to ancient, what do you call it?
Lisa Feldman Barrett, I think is her name. Lisa Feldman Barrett writes the book, How Emotions Are Made. The idea is emotions don't necessarily have real categories, but we develop them based on feelings and thoughts that go along with those feelings. And then as a society, we sort of have named them and create some standardization around it. And so that's why we understand happiness and stuff as happiness. But she also shows that there is evidence that there aren't universal emotions. And you can't, and facial expressions don't necessarily tell you. So somebody's emotion, when you look at the brain anyway, of anger could look like this whole 3 areas are lit up. And then you look at the next person's brain and the 3 other areas are lit up, and they would still call it as anger. So it's a very interesting mishmash. But yes, so it could be in the glands, and you know more about the emotion code than I do. So what does that mean for it to be in the glands?
Well, the idea of the emotion code is based on Dr. Bradley Nelson's concept that all emotions are energy, and that we hold, sometimes when we have an emotion, we hold it in different parts of our body. And he got this acupressure point, and this is based on ancient Chinese medicine, where they have, it's these concepts that emotions are energy and it is housed in the body. I mean, similar to the idea that our heart has a consciousness outside of our brain, so that our heart processes things and our gut processes things. That we all used to think that the brain is the only thing that leads us into to do whatever we decide to do in our life. But sometimes we'll do something where we'll think, oh, that just doesn't set well in my heart. Or you might see, like when we were on vacation, I saw that woman giving that homeless man food. And I was like, my heart was just opened up and felt warm. And I felt that the compassion that that woman had toward that homeless person. And I thought how wonderful that could be. So I think we do feel things in our heart. I mean, I do. We don't know.
Yeah, sure. But I would recommend, like, it's up to you, but in this series of books, I would say, if you're going to talk about where is it in your body, have the parent ask the kid, and not have the parent tell the kid where it's supposed to be in their body.
Yes, that's it. I remember when I was doing those paintings in the park, and I was having kids paint their emotions.
Yeah.
And the movie had just come out, Inside Out.
Yes.
And this one parent came up to us and said, "You better not be telling my child what color to paint what emotion, because they might come out and paint happiness black, and I'm going to say that's okay." They were just, they were very protective over their child's feelings. I thought that was beautiful. I thought it was really beautiful. And I'm saying, no, this is, the whole thing is about them getting in touch with whatever it is inside of them.
Yeah.
And wow, remember some of the paintings we got? So beautiful. I mean, so evocative, impressionable. That child did on anger or rage. That was just, I couldn't have done as well as she did.
Good emotions to explore. And I think that the body is, when you talk about here and now, there's nothing more here and now than you and your body.
Yeah. And I do think there's the inside stuff that's going on with us inside of our heart and our mind and our gut and all that. And then there's the outside stuff, which is the social construct of how we interact and communicate with each other. And that's where the words are born and the expressions that define what we call emotions.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no getting away from our need to connect and communicate. And so we have to use words, and it doesn't matter how sloppy it is. We've been doing this for millennia, and we still need to be able to create words for stuff that maybe don't really have a perfect definition or a perfect word that means the same thing all the time. We just still have to use them because we're like that. We're word-making creatures.
Yeah, and
words are tagged with something.
Emotions change it synchronistically. So what they used to have in the DSM or the Merck manual for diagnosing illnesses, homesickness in the 19th century was a diagnosis. They don't have that anymore. So they go out of fashion. So that really tells us that emotion is it's synchronistic. It's within the time that we live.
And to get our feelings of safety and security and other things met, it's that sharing between. It's like you could be sending two different signals, but just like with two different keys on a piano, you can see how they create a new harmonic,
And in that vein, I'd like to invite all the listeners who think that they know a really good way to end this story. Please put it in the comments below.
Oh, yeah.
And also like and subscribe and get all your friends to like and subscribe so that we can get more viewers to this channel, because I think it's a really good channel for people to really focus on different emotions. And with that, I'd like to say thank you and goodbye. And anything you want to add?
Dealing with Feelings show.
Thank you, and don't be
Thanks,
jealous.
Friday.
Well, you can be jealous. It's okay.
It won't hurt you.
It's all okay. All emotions are okay.
What do they say? There's no good or bad emotions. They're just our emotions, or something like that.
Yeah. Just remember, that should be our ending thing. Just remember, there's no such thing as a good emotion or a bad emotion. They just are. Bye.
Bye-bye.